On Mel Waters' land near Ellensburg, Washington, there's this unusual hole. It might resemble a well, but it's more of a disposal site. Mel, following the lead of those before him, threw all sorts of things into it. Garbage, old appliances, worn-out tires. Strangely, the hole never seemed to fill up. Mel was mystified as he observed more peculiarities. His dog steered clear of it. Strange signals disrupted his radio, and it seemed bottomless. But what is the reality of Mel's hole? Is it a gateway to another dimension, a covert military project, or simply an urban legend? Let's explore the mystery of Mel's extraordinary hole. Strange incidents often happen in the Pacific Northwest, where a mysterious hole in the ground might seem quite ordinary among countless Bigfoot sightings and vast expanses of giant mushrooms. Mel's hole initially appears significant until you understand that it's not just any hole. It's a bottomless pit capable of resurrecting animals. Mel's hole stands out as one of Washington State's most mysterious locations. The story started with an interview on Coast to Coast AM, where a caller named Mel Waters asserted that he stumbled upon a genuine bottomless pit on his property. As you can guess, the story takes a darker turn from there. Today, this supernatural anomaly in Washington, like many others, hovers between fame and obscurity. Intrigued by the supernatural? Feeling a bit uneasy? Whether one or both, keep watching for more details about Mel's hole, its ascent to fame, and the peculiar secrets rumored to lurk in its unfathomable depths. Originally dubbed the Devil's Hole, Mel's hole acquired its name when Mel Waters, if he indeed existed, brought attention to the pit. The legend predates his arrival, with local residents, authorities, and indigenous tribes familiar with the hole for decades before Waters acquired his property. Legend has it that the pit measured about 9 feet in diameter, its walls crafted from hand-placed bricks extending 15 feet down before melding into dirt and darkness. Locals dubbed it the Devil's Hole, unanimously sensing an unsettling aura around its existence. However, none dared to delve too deeply into pondering the nature of that unsettling feeling. Residents of Manistus Ridge, instead of contemplating the eerie aspect of the hole, utilized it as a convenient garbage dump. Oddly enough, the pit never seemed to fill up, perpetuating its mysterious reputation. If it's not boundless, Mel's hole is, at the very least, 80,000 feet deep, according to Waters' recount during an interview with Coast to Coast AM host Art Bell. When Waters noticed the persistent lack of filling in the hole, he decided to conduct an experiment. Armed with thousands of feet of fishing line and a robust fishing rod, his plan was to lower the weighted line into the hole and measure how far down it descended before hitting the bottom. As his test concluded, Waters received more than he anticipated. The hole appeared to have no bottom. Even if a bottom does exist, it plunges to depths profound enough that the weighted line fails to go slack, even after 80,000 feet. To date, neither Waters nor anyone else has definitively confirmed reaching the elusive bottom. Certain individuals who approached the pit observed something unusual about the local wildlife, or rather, the lack thereof. Animals went out of their way to steer clear of it. Waters even mentioned that his own dogs adamantly refused to come close to the hole. When he attempted to bring them nearer, they resisted by digging their paws into the ground. Other visitors noticed that birds purposefully avoided flying directly over it, and no other small animals ventured close. Reports indicated that the only wildlife signs were scattered piles of bones near the pit's mouth. After supposedly lowering 80,000 feet of fishing line into the hole on his property to fathom its depth, Waters suspected a more sinister aspect. He initiated various tests to grasp the enigmatic nature of the seemingly bottomless pit. When he shouted directly into the pit, silence greeted him instead of an echo. Bringing a handheld radio near the hole resulted in playing music that sounded decades out of date. Further experiments took place at a location known as the Second Devil's Hole, a pit in Nevada believed to share identical properties with the Washington Hole. When a bucket of ice descended approximately 1,500 feet into the hole, it was brought back up, reportedly feeling warm. drying out the nearby air, and even becoming flammable. Mel recounts a neighbor's assertion that the hole revived their dog. Mel Waters' interview with Art Bell on Coast to Coast AM brought the hole into public awareness, with one claim gaining particular attention. According to Waters, locals utilized the hole to dispose of various items, from old equipment to cattle remains. However, tossing something down the hole didn't guarantee it would remain there. In the interview, Waters mentioned that when a neighbor's dog passed away, the neighbor brought it to the hole. Allegedly, the neighbor later informed Waters that after doing so, he witnessed his dog running in the forest alive and well, still wearing its collar. Yet this account lacks independent verification by a neighbor or any other party. Some locals may consider the hole haunted. One eerie story about Mel's hole involves the fate of a sheep, which Mel Waters claimed to have lowered into the pit during one of his experiments. The sheep, akin to Waters' dogs and other local animals, was thoroughly frightened of the pit. Waters had to tranquilize it to bring it close enough to the hole's mouth. Intrigued by the peculiar fate of a bucket of ice, rumored to turn warm and flammable when lowered into a similar hole, Waters decided to replicate the experiment with the sheep. However, the sheep's outcome was even more peculiar. As Waters lifted the sheep out of the hole, it seemed to have been cooked from the inside. What added to the oddity was the apparent movement inside the sheep. Upon cutting it open, Waters discovered something resembling a fetal seal with human eyes staring back at him. Without hesitation, he tossed the creature back into the hole. When sharing the tale with inquisitive neighbors, some claim to have encountered a similar creature near the hole before. Whatever it is, it might be the sole entity with the ability to enter and exit Mel's hole. Another Mel's hole exists in Nevada. Mel Waters' property in Washington hosts the original pit that gave rise to the legend, but it's not the lone one. A hole displaying properties much like those linked to the original Mel's hole is rumored to exist in Nevada. Waters reported visiting the second hole, finding it as peculiar and captivating as the one on his property. Birds of an unidentified species circled the Nevada pit, and when Waters attempted to study them by shooting one down, the bullets seemed to bounce off, indicating bulletproof characteristics. If these birds are any indication, the Nevada hole likely conceals as many mysterious phenomena as Mel's hole. Mel Waters asserted that the government acquired his property to protect the hole. If the claimed interaction between Mel Waters and the U.S. government holds true, Mel's hole may be more significant than Waters initially understood. According to Waters, government agents tried to bar him from accessing his property, asserting a plane crash had occurred there. When he doubted their account, they abruptly changed their approach, proposing to lease his land for $250,000, with the condition that he leave the country. Facing financial difficulties, Waters agreed to relocate to Australia and returned several years later. Upon his return, government agents insisted they had purchased his land. Locals informed Waters that the pit's vicinity had been monitored by black vans and helicopters since his departure. Mel Waters might be a fictional character. Initially, after Mel Waters' first appearance on Coast to Coast AM, there was no reason to doubt his identity. However, as his narrative gained traction, Coast to Coast listeners became captivated by the tales of the pit, prompting Waters to participate in a second interview. Yet, as Waters stepped into the limelight, his identity and story took on a more intriguing hue. Despite multiple appearances on Coast to Coast AM, diligent followers of the story scoured local records for Waters' name to pinpoint the hole's exact location, yielding no results. No property transactions occurred in the specified area during the time Waters claimed to have sold the land to the government, and no individual named Mel Waters had a record of voting, paying taxes, or residing there. Whether Mel was a fabrication or a pseudonym, the mystery of the hole seemed to envelop Waters himself. Mel's hole defies geological possibility, or perhaps it possesses its own unique geology. A geologist named Jack Powell, among the Coast to Coast AM listeners intrigued by Mel's hole, thought he recognized it as an abandoned mine shaft from his childhood when he heard Waters describe it on the radio. However, when Waters disclosed lowering at least 80,000 feet of fishing line into the hole for depth testing, Powell realized the story was far stranger than he initially believed. A hole of such depth would be physically implausible. According to Powell's geological expertise, this suggests that Waters either devised an elaborate hoax or that within the many enigmas of Mel's hole lies a localized geographical anomaly. What are your thoughts on the mystery of Mel's hole? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.